The Cannabis Show is for information only. You should always consult with a qualified and licensed physician or other medical care provider.
Welcome to the Cannabis Show. Today, Kait reads us the top headlines in cannabis. Basil talks about innovation and automation on Medicated Minute, and we answer your questions. All that and more, keep watching.
Hi, I'm Kait with your news hits. Congratulations to 51 successful groups across the province of Saskatchewan. They were just announced in the retail cannabis store applications. And to 23-year-old Sierra Stevens-Schuback, who was one of them. She beat out 150 other heavy-hitting applicants and won one of 7 cannabis retail store permits in Saskatoon, just in time for her graduation from business school. Sierra's interest in cannabis arose when she was prescribed a bunch of daily pills for rheumatoid arthritis and chose the cannabis route instead. Sierra drew up the application as part of her classwork. See, kids, it pays to do your homework. Congratulations, Sierra. We look forward to Living Skies Cannabis. Cannabis legalization. Are you worried about your kids? If we look at Washington State's numbers, you needn't be. Before legalization in Washington, 17% of grade 10 high school students said they had smoked cannabis in the previous month. Recently, 4 years after legalization, 17% of grade 10 students said they had smoked cannabis in the previous month. Also of note, there has been no increase in impaired driving. One thing that has changed, legal sales have made a dent in the black market. Beverage companies in Canada are busy developing cannabis-infused beverages to be ready for 2019, when we expect to see cannabis edibles legalized. Both non-alcoholic and alcoholic cannabis-infused drinks will be available. Some are pairing wine and cannabis, some beer and cannabis, some are substituting hops altogether for cannabis, and cannabis altogether for hops. Science and historical data support that cannabis is far safer than alcohol, and drinking it is no different. Just remember, because of cannabis's fat-binding ability, it could stay in your system far longer.
Some interesting news tips, Kait. I really like the one out of Saskatchewan.
Yeah, good for her, hey? 23 years old, her family's completely behind her. They needed a lot of financial background and they provided it for her. And her teacher really helped her out with the application. There were some really heavy hitters that just failed the application process altogether. And she, handed hers in as part of her class and got passed. Like one out of 7 in Saskatoon, yeah.
That's like an amazing story, right? I really want her to succeed.
Yeah, maybe we could do a show up there or something like that. What does it say on the license plate? Because it is Saskatchewan.
Living Skies Cannabis.
Yeah, that's the name of her company.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We got Basil on the end here, Kait, Hart, and myself. It's Chris. And what else did we talk about? The Washington State stats. That was pretty interesting as well.
17% before legalization of grade 10 students polled had used cannabis in the last month, and same with after legalization. 4 years later, same stats. So,
I really because now the cannabis is being grown properly and probably not with all these illegal, fertilizers
so much
and such.
safer.
At least it's
regulations help it.
Yeah. And what was the other story that?
Well, edibles are probably coming up in 2019, along with something to drink edibles with.
Now, Basil, but that isn't really. Like edibles right now, that's essentially an oil anyway.
It's the oils you're ingesting. Yeah, that's kind of what we're classifying as edibles right now. But the sky's the limit, really.
I think I think some people get confused, or they like the or what they're going for just because it's so heavily induced. But if they see the amount that they're taking in oil, it might scare them, right? Because the edibles on the illegal market can have really high THC and stuff. So
that's right. And we always have to remember too that it's going to affect you a little bit differently when it turns from THC to delta 11 when it's going through your liver, in comparison to when you're smoking it and it's THC.
Yeah, it's like 4 to 5 times more psychoactive.
Delta 9 to delta 11.
Yeah,
exactly.
You got to be careful with that. Absolutely.
Well, would you look at that? It's time for a Medicated Minute.
I often talk about innovation coming to the cannabis industry in the form of new and improved consumption methods. I think smoking whole flower will quickly and easily become obsolete for many people in the very near future. But consumption is not the only area of the industry where we are getting a taste of things to come. Processing of the raw plant is something that, to this point, has required many hands to be done efficiently. Now, Thanks to some timely innovation, processing the cannabis plant into all of its various forms should require fewer people, creating a more precise and replicable end product, closer to what we are used to when it comes to pharmaceutical medicines. Trimming the plant down after harvesting once required a group of individuals with an army of scissors. This process, for the most part, has been automated in most places across the industry and is an area that is constantly being improved upon. Perhaps in the near future, automated trimming will be able to get close to or equal to the quality of hand trimming. Extraction is in a similar category. The machines that are currently being used to extract are extremely impressive. Yet there are whole teams of people working every day to create bigger, better, and more cost-efficient processes. Dry herb packaging, concentrate processing, and oil bottling represent just a small selection of niche spaces in the industry where industrial equipment producers will be able to shine. In many cases, taking the person out of the equation also removes things like the opportunity for errors. If you ask me, this can be a good thing. I say keep the people in the grow areas ensuring the plants are tended properly and with care, and let the machines mix our oils. And while they're at it, they can measure out a perfect half-gram pre-roll every time.
You know, Basil, it's you see the automation going. I mean, automation's been around way longer than, you know, legal cannabis, medical cannabis, and I guess it's already caught up in a way, right?
Yeah, and you know, we were just recently at the Lift Expo in Toronto, and some of the machines that were on the floor there, it's going to be amazing.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
It's like Terminator, right?
Right.
Yeah, one guy we actually, I mean, they can measure it like almost right exact to 5 grams with just a machine. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Which will be great when it's individualized for, you know, each individual's.
We're just thinking
needs.
jobs. Anyway,
Yeah.
but it is exciting anyway for other things. And there's still going to be a lot of jobs in cannabis for sure. You can ask us anything. If you'd like to send us a question, you can. The Cannabis Show at naturalhealthservices.ca. Just send us an email and we'll try to get that on. This question is from Catherine. And it says, I recently caught the last half hour of your live show at the Lift Expo. And I don't know if we met her or not. Love the show. My question is regarding CBN. I've heard it's good for sleep, but how do I go about obtaining CBN? I see THC and CBD on my licensed producer's website, but CBN, I see nothing.
Yeah, well, you can actually kind of help it along. So it's what THC is going to degrade into in some cases. Heat, light, these kinds of things, the sun, that'll help quicken that process. So a great way to do it is put your cannabis in a clear package, in a clear baggie or a clear jar, and just put it out in the sun for a while, and it'll help that THC degrade into CBN.
CBN, and what is CBN? What are the effects we're looking at of CBN?
It's very, really used in sedation and sleep. It's really, that's where you're zeroing in for that.
And the reason she probably sees it, cannabinol, it's not one of the required things that you have to put on the label. But it's in there.
Yeah.
So if you want to
It's
look
in
for
there.
it, or aging it, like if you have Hydropothecary's bedtime, put it in your window. It'll help.
That one already knocks me out as it is. But is that now? Would that have CBN in it? You think, or we don't know the profile of that one?
We don't know, but
yeah.
It's a combination of the terpenes in there too that's giving it those.
Can you buy any strains that are grown with CBN in it, or is that something that, like you said?
I think chances are the majority of the strains that you're going to purchase are going to have at least some CBN in it. It's not one that Health Canada is saying that we have to see on the package, so that's why we don't see numbers, but nearly every strain is probably going to have at least some in there.
And then you could create more on your own.
That's right. Help it along. Yeah.
In the sun. Awesome. Well, I hope that answers your question, Catherine. And we are on social media. Instagram. This is The Cannabis Show. Please follow us.